documentary at Thiruvananthapuram Law College, and members even raised Azadi slogans against what they branded as censorship by the centre.
BJP State President has filed a complaint with Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan asking him not to allow such screenings because it is going to question the unity and strength of India. It's an insult to the Constitution as well as the Supreme Court that gave clean chit in this case.
Meanwhile, student wing of SFI, DYFI and Kerala Congress are planning to organize screenings across several universities in the state.
We have a right to protest against that draconian activity. This is not regarding the question of unity of India. This is question of the fundamental rights of India.
Even as the debate over this documentary rages on in India, support is pouring in for the Modi government. Days ago, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak had this to say about the BBC film.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the UK government's position on this has been clear and long-standing and hasn't changed. Of course, we don't tolerate persecution where it appears anywhere, but I'm not sure I agree at all with the characterisation that the honourable gentleman has put forward.
And now the United States too shut down a Pakistani reporter when he tried to instigate using the documentary.
When we have concerns about actions that are taken in India, we've voiced those. We've had an occasion to do that, but we want first and foremost to reinforce those values that are at the heart of our relationship.
One follow-up, but do you think that such foreign policy has affected President Biden's Indian voters here in the US, though?
We don't think about it through those terms. I don't think about domestic politics, and neither does anyone in this building.
The controversy over the censoring of the documentary has quickly turned political. Leaders from the Trinamool Congress continue to post links of the documentary on Twitter, despite many of their posts being struck down by Twitter, with the reason that the Indian government claims the content violates Indian laws. Rahul Gandhi in Kashmir on the Bharat Jodo Yatra had this to say.
If you read Bhagavad Gita or you read the Upanishads, you will see in it it's written that the truth cannot be hidden. The truth always comes out. You can control the institutions, you can use CBI, ED, all this stuff. But the truth is the truth. So no amount of banning and oppression and frightening people is going to stop the truth from coming out.
While the first part of the BBC documentary called India the Modi question has already run into massive controversy with its 2002 Gujarat rights content, the second part drops on 24th January. What is the motive for the documentary? Why has it been released now? While all these questions continue to do the rounds, the opposition has added another question to the mix. Is there an attempt to censor or ban the film? With Shibimol and Abdul Bashir, Bureau Report, India Today.
Viewers, I'm going to cut across to our panelists, but before that, quickly pulling in Akshay Dongre, my colleague, who's right now reporting from the JNU. Akshay, is there going to be a face-off? Because the JNU administration is very clear that they don't want the screening of the film. They want it cancelled. However, the students' body very clear that they are going to go ahead with the screening at 9 p.m. this evening.
Well, there is a likelihood, Preeti, that there can be a face-off between the Jawaharlal Nehru Students' Union and the administration. Because the Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad, the ABVP, also the student group of the RSS, has said that it has nothing to do with the screening or with stopping the screening, because it's a matter between the JNUSU and the administration. Administration yesterday very clearly said that there cannot be any screening because there will be a law and order situation in the campus, and that is the reason that was cited to cancel the screening that was to be held today. The administration has also warned the students that any screening of the said documentary will attract a disciplinary action, and strict action will be taken against the students who will try to screen the documentary that also has been blocked on Twitter and YouTube. The JNUSU, however, says that it violates their freedom of speech and freedom of expression, because they say that the documentary is not banned in India under any laws. It is just blocked on some social media websites, and they have the access of it, and they are not violating any laws as far as watching that particular documentary is concerned. JNUSU is the same JNUSU that was there in 2019 as well, with Aishi Ghosh, the president from the SFI, the Student Federation of India, a student group of CPIM, and they have also announced that not just Jawaharlal Nehru University, but in all the campuses of central universities across the country, the SFI will be going ahead and screening this particular documentary, as they say that this in fact brings out the truth about the 2002 riots. However, clearly the government as well as many of the experts have said that the documentary of the BBC is not factual, and that exactly is the reason that the government also has blocked it. But remains to be seen that whether an altercation happens or not, because certainly JNUSU will go ahead with the screening, and the administration will try and use all the measures to stop that screening from happening today at 9 p.m.
All right, Akshay, we're going to keep a keen eye on that. We're going to get back to you at 9 p.m. Let's see what goes down in JNU. But I want to bring in our other two panelists into this conversation. Dr. Vikram Singh, Chancellor, Noida International University, is also former DGP UP. He can bring in also the law and order angle. Abhishek Nandan, President, Students' Union, Hyderabad University. Well, the screening of the documentary has already been done at the Hyderabad University. I want to begin with you, Dr. Singh. The question is, ultimately, the government says there's no ban, there was an advisory, it could lead to law and order issues. JNU administration wants it cancelled. The filming, however, students adamant they are going to go ahead with the screening of it. But, there's something that they say, Dr. Singh, that you ban something, tell students not to see something, more adamant that they will see it.
Good evening, Preeti. Yes, you're so very right. But as a chancellor and a former DGP, I would say, as an administrator, you must seem to be on the right side of rules, regulations, procedure, and laws. It is counterproductive to have or to promote something or to provide a platform to something for which the government has already given its viewpoint and has blocked. Agreed, a formal banning order may not be there in position, but the fact of the matter is that the government has blocked this film on various social media platforms, YouTube, etc. Now, as far as law and order is concerned, it is bound to be controversial. It is bound to create problems among student groups. Therefore, if I were the chancellor, any student body, if they were to go an open invitation to screening of this film, I will use all my authority to say, as the government does not want it screening and the indications are very clear, I will not allow this to be screened in my university. Therefore, if you know what is good for you, please don't even think of having the screening here. And if you have the copy, please go out and do whatever you want to. Within the university premises, where we are given grants by the government, we cannot. But to the second point you said, curiosity killed the cat. Will banning serve the purpose, or to the contrary, it will add fuel to fire? I would say it will add fuel to fire, because indeed what is banned ultimately at the end of the day promotes something that is underground and promotes indirectly what is said to be should not be seen by the student. I would rather let sleeping dogs lie, and anything in today's world is in open platform and can be accessed wherever and whenever. Banning is a very small aspect and a very small percentage, and a minuscule amount of information will trickle out. But that we have friends who will send it via platforms. Therefore, I would say the information should say that this is counterproductive. The Supreme Court has given a clean check to the government, the then government, and therefore it is absolutely a pack of lies.
All right, okay. Abhishek Nandan, President, Students' Union, University of Hyderabad, you clearly hold a contrarian point of view, because your university has screened the film as well. So, Abhishek Nandan, the point that the gentleman who's your co-panelist was making, whoever has been talked about here, Mr. Modi has been exonerated in any case. The Supreme Court has given him a clean chit. The government says that this is propaganda, and as a student body, why are you fueling it, is the charge.
So, first of all, that movie is screened by some of group, and we supported, and we are still supporting. And I am not agree with my colleagues, because हम आज तेलंगाना गवर्नमेंट से यही पूछते रहे पुलिस से कि भाई आपके पास ऑर्डर कहाँ है, क्या इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने कोई गैजेट निकाला है, क्या कोई नोटिस दिया है, क्या कोई ऑर्डर दिया है, क्या इंडियन गवर्नमेंट सुप्रीम कोर्ट के पास गया है कि ये जो मूवी है वो एंटी इंडिया मूवी है, इसे बैन किया जाए इंडिया में, क्या कोई कोर्ट का ऑर्डर है? जब कोर्ट का ऑर्डर नहीं है, सरकार का कोई ऑर्डर नहीं है, बैकडोर से जो है गवर्नमेंट कभी ईमेल करके ट्विटर से लिंक हटवा रही है, यूट्यूब से लिंक हटवा रही है, तो फिर उस मूवी का स्क्रीन करने में दिक्कत क्या है? अगर सरकार को लगता है तो कानून है, कानून बताएगा। सरकार के जो लोग फ्रिंज एलिमेंट हैं हमारे कैंपसों में, खास करके अखिल भारतीय विद्यार्थी परिषद और दूसरे फ्रिंज एलिमेंट जो है आरएसएस और बीजेपी के, वो लोग लोगों को बता रहे हैं कि देखिए अगर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर मेंटेन रखना है तो इस मूवी को मत देखिए। भाई लॉ एंड ऑर्डर अगर मेंटेन रखना है तो कहां लॉ और ऑर्डर ये बोल रहा है कि ये मूवी बैन है इंडिया में? मुझे तो सबसे पहले इसका जवाब चाहिए। आज हमारे पास तेलंगाना पुलिस के एसएचओ आए थे, डीजी यहाँ पे पुलिस कमिश्नर आए थे, उनसे हमने यही पूछा कि सर आप पुलिस में हो, आप मुझे बता दो कि गृह मंत्रालय का कहां ऑर्डर है कि ये मूवी जो है बैन है और दिखाना ठीक नहीं है। तो बीजेपी अगर बैकडोर से कोई काम कर रही है और अपने फ्रिंज एलिमेंट से चीजों को ठीक करना चाहती है तो ये तो डेमोक्रेसी के लिए खतरा है, और एज ए स्टूडेंट हमारी प्राइमरी जिम्मेदारी है उस डेमोक्रेसी को बचाना।
अभिषेक जी देखिए, आप छात्र हैं, अभिषेक जी आप एक छात्र हैं, पर एक तबका ये भी होगा जो कहेगा देखिए जिन फ्रिंज एलिमेंट्स की आप बात कर रहे हैं जो एबीवीपी और आरएसएस से जुड़े हुए हैं, एक तबका बोलेगा देखिए फ्रिंज एलिमेंट्स तो दूसरी तरफ भी हैं, वामपंथी फ्रिंज एलिमेंट्स भी हैं, तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर वहां से भी आ सकता है।
लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का काम क्या है? हमारे कॉलिग्स हैं डीजीपी, आपने बताया लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का काम क्या है? लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का ये काम है कि जो लोग लॉ एंड ऑर्डर बिगाड़ना चाहते हैं उनको रोकना। तो यहाँ पे जो भारतीय जनता पार्टी और आरएसएस के फ्रिंज एलिमेंट है तो वो एक नैरेटिव चला के लॉ एंड ऑर्डर को खराब कर रहे हैं। अगर भारत सरकार क्यों नहीं ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग बुला रही है? ठीक है, हम छात्र हैं, हम एक छोटे से यूनिवर्सिटी के छात्र हैं, अगर सरकार को लगता है कि ये देश विरोधी है तो ऑल पार्टी मीटिंग बुलाए लोकसभा में या सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाए भारतीय जनता पार्टी। ये क्या बात हुई कि आप बैकडोर से ट्विटर और हर चीज को कंट्रोल करना चाह रहे हैं, मेल कर दे रहे हैं और उसी को बोल रहे हैं कि ये कानून है। सरकार ने एक लिंक जो है हटवा दिया ट्विटर से तो ये पूरे देश के लिए कानून है। ऐसा तो हमने कभी नहीं सुना था, बचपन से नहीं सुना है, ना इतिहास की किताबों में पढ़ा है।
But Dr. Singh, I know you want to come in, and you know the gentleman in question has a valid point, Dr. Singh. The film is not banned. There is an advisory given, and if you really, the fact is, even with the advisory, the film would have gone unnoticed. But the fact that there is an advisory, there is a possible ban, which now the government says there is no ban because the ban would have to come in from the Home Ministry. Hasn't somewhere down the line the authorities that be amplified a situation which really didn't need to be there?
Preeti ji, I respect the opinion of Abhishek ji, of course a very vibrant student leader. But as the head of the university, I see what is good for the academic growth of the student body and that of the faculty. To that extent, we have also not allowed the filming and the screening of those films duly passed by the censor board, but which in our opinion has pornographic content, which has excessive violence and something that to do with sadomasochism, etc. They have been passed by the censor board, but we feel they do no good to the student and the faculties. We also do not subscribe to books and publications all of the same tone and tenor in our libraries, not because they are proscribed or banned, but the fact of the matter, as Abhishek mentioned, the job of the police is to be proactive and ensure no disturbances take place. There is no violence in the campus. There is no free for all. And to that extent, the police and the university, as mentioned Preeti ji, has a duty to perform. And therefore, I would say that the filming or screening of such a film is an extremely, extremely sensitive matter and not to be handled with kid gloves. The fact of the matter is, if the government has blocked it on social media platforms, the Supreme Court has exonerated the then Chief Minister and the current Prime Minister. I see no reason why there should be a mad rush to screen the film. There are better films.
I'm going to thank both you gentlemen. I appreciate you joining us, Dr. Singh. Thank you, Abhishek ji, ke aap humse jure. Ultimately, there will be questions, and I'm sure there are relevant questions that will be raised on the timing of the film, especially at a time where the protagonist or the said protagonist in the documentary has been exonerated. Part 2 of the documentary drops today, 24th. All those questions arise, propaganda timing. But I would reckon where students are concerned in this country, viewers, or a large part of the citizens, tell them not to view something or they can't see something, you'll have the exact opposite result. With that, I want to quickly dip into the next news break that's just about filtering in. And the news coming in, a 3-story building on Lucknow's Wazir Hassan Road has collapsed. Reports suggest that 2 people could be buried under the debris. The cops and rescue teams are present at this spot. These are visuals that are streaming in from Lucknow. An entire building, viewers, has caved in. Rescue teams and cops have rushed to the collapse site. All right, with those visuals, I'm going to go into a quick break. Stay with us. On the other side is Rahul Kanwar.
Before I talk about the market, Sanjeev, I want to ask you about your stance on financials, private sector financials at this point, because we've seen a couple of numbers, Bajaj Finance first, which created a bit of flutter, and then ICICI Bank. Are you comfortable keeping your overweight stance on financials, or would you want to change it in any way?
No, then as of now, we are quite okay with it in the sense, both on an absolute basis and relative basis, the financial sector looks okay. So on an absolute basis, if you look at the valuations of the tier one banks, most of them are actually quite reasonable. Look at an ICICI Bank, for example, or an HDFC Bank, both of them would be trading at about 2.4 times March 24 book, adjusted for the value of their non-banking businesses. So look quite okay. If you look at, let's say, an Axis or an IndusInd, Axis about 2 times 1 year forward, so IndusInd about 1.6 times. So in fact, I think there's still probably some scope relating as far as the next lot of tier one banks are concerned. That is an Axis or an IndusInd. If you look at let's say the tier two banks, you put all the PSU banks over there, some of the smaller private banks, I think valuation are very reasonable. SBI is about 1.2 times, again, 12-month forward basis. Most of the other PSU banks are, one time that is bought, and others are actually lower than 1 time price to book. So I don't see too much of an issue on valuation to start with. And more important, at least for the next 2 years, we don't see, any signs of credit quality deterioration that we're not aware of as of now. So credit quality should not be an issue. Credit growth is picking up. So if I put everything together, the banking sector does look quite okay on an absolute basis.
What's your clear underweight call for 2023, this calendar year? What are the sectors that you're avoiding?
So as of now, largely on the discretionary side. So that includes automobiles, barring a few names here and there. A large section of the consumer durables pack. And my concern over there is both a combination of shorter-term slowdown, which is probably not factored into analyst numbers. When I look at consensus numbers, they still look very, very high to me. So you'll probably see some downgrades, which means the multiples are actually even higher than what we are looking at currently. The multiples are high to start with. They're significantly higher than pre-COVID levels. And assuming our thesis is correct of finding downgrades, then the multiples are actually even higher than what the street is building in currently. So that's one big risk in the shorter term. Also in the medium term, starting to get a bit concerned about I don't know it's the business models of these companies, but many of these companies have fantastic moats, and that's one of the reasons why investors have been willing to give very high multiples for these stocks. But of late, what we are seeing is, some cracks starting to emerge in the business models, business modes that people thought were completely unbreachable. Some investors have started to have rethink. That could result in some amount of de-rating in the multiples as we go forward.
Ranbir Kapoor is one of the few Indian actors in the Hindi film industry who has successfully managed to find the balance between commercial entertainers and content-driven cinema. Born in the famous Kapoor Khandan, cinema and films ran in the superstar's blood. After completing his schooling and college in Mumbai, Ranbir moved to New York City to learn filmmaking. Upon returning to Mumbai, he worked with Sanjay Leela Bhansali as an assistant director on his 2005 hit Black. On the silver screen, the actor's big break came with Sanjay Leela Bhansali, who ironically happens to be the same director who Ranbir worked with as an assistant director. And then finally debuted with Savarya.
मान लो जिंदगी एक बॉक्सिंग रिंग है और दुख आपका हरीफ उसके हजारों हाथ हैं लेकिन आपके सिर्फ दो वो जब भी सामने आए डरो मत उसकी आंखों में आंखें डालकर देखो और समझो जानो उसकी ताकत को पहचानो.
His first film may have turned out to be a flop, but this was followed by a slew of hits. He played the main lead in 2008's Bachna Hai Hasino, which went on to become his first commercial hit.
जी मैं राज वहीं का फ्रेंड.
And in 2009, Ranbir collaborated with Ayan Mukherjee for the first time in Wake Up Sid, a coming-of-age drama that was critically and commercially hit. Ranbir's restrained performance as a confused teenager garnered critical acclaim and established him as a bona fide actor.
लगता है गर्मी की वजह से पागल हो रही हो.
हाँ पागल हो रही हूँ.
अरे तो मैं क्या करूँ यार? आसमान से बारिश बरसाऊं?
क्यों नहीं? जब इतने एफिशिएंट हो गए हर चीज में तो ये भी करके दिखाओ ना.
लो.
He was the golden boy of the film fraternity, the rage who could do no wrong. Ranbir starred in commercial entertainers such as Ajab Prem Ki Gajab Kahani,
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Presented by RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. Growing Legacies. Co-presented by Century Ply, आग से बचाए. Co-presented by Macho Hint, Fashion बड़े आराम से. Co-powered by Samsonite, tested like Samsonite. Indian Oil, पहले Indian फिर oil. Nippon India Mutual Fund.
Hello and welcome. The last session at the World Economic Forum in Davos is a global economic outlook. And what I thought we'd do over the next several minutes here at the Business Today Market Summit is to do an India economic outlook with some very sharp economic minds. And the global consensus seems to be that the world could potentially be able to avoid a hard landing and a deep recession and instead get away with a softer landing and slowing growth. What does that mean in the context of the India growth story? We have a big budget coming up in just a few days from now. Crucial also because this is arguably the last budget before the election cycle kicks in. So what can Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and the Modi government do to capitalize on the unique global headwinds and tailwinds that are playing out at this